Sunday, June 3rd, 2022, and this brings us to 413 Sports Talk, episode 383. Great to see you, and I hope y'all are all hanging in there and enjoying the summer as best as you can. I have WNBA MLB scores, and day 2 of our newest NFL segment. We cover the AFC teams in this one, and I will let you know what I think these teams need as well. Other than that, let's get this episode started. And it starts with the Utah Jazz trading an awesome rim defender in Rudy Gobert to the Minnesota Timberwolves for players and first-round picks. One notable player would be my favorite defensive player in the NBA, and that's Patrick Beverley. He's part of the 4 players that got traded, picks 2. So it's Minnesota's loading up. They're thinking championship this year. Can you blame them? The Golden State Warriors signed Kevin Looney, 3 years, $25 million, and also added Dante DiVincenzo on a 2-year, $9.3 million deal. Get that bench shored up a little bit. I like that move. JT Poston, winner of the John Deere Classic, this golf tournament that just happened this weekend, part of the PGA Tour. Congrats to you, JT. The John Deere Classic is usually one of the most difficult. One of those difficult tournaments that the PGA can offer. U.S. men's national team reaches its first Olympics since 2008. Good job, soccer guys. Boston Celtics get better at point guard by trading for Indiana Pacers point guard Malcolm Brogdon. Sorry for saying point guard twice. Indiana gets a 2023 first-round pick and a former first-round pick in 2020, Aaron Naismith. Can't really tell who won that one. Brogdon's a decent starting caliber point guard. I don't know yet what Naismith's, how his career is going to play out. He's going to be a starter. It's just a guy riding the pines. It's a little too early to determine. The medical examiner who looked at the body of the Ravens late to Jalen Ferguson says he died from fentanyl-laced cocaine. Wow. Pac-12 eyeing expansion after USC and UCLA announced their plans to leave the conference by 2023. And that's it for the news. Let's talk MLB. We have for you Chicago over Boston 3-1 in a doubleheader. Tampa Bay beat Toronto 6-2. And they returned the favor. They repeated the favor again, second game, beating Toronto 11-5. The Yanks have a doubleheader against Cleveland, won the first game 13-4, and the second one 6-1. Yankees are still the best team in baseball right now. Minnesota 4, Baltimore 3, Chicago White Sox 5, San Francisco 3, Miami 5, Washington 3, Pittsburgh 7, Milwaukee 4, St. Louis 7, Philadelphia 6, Houston 9, LA Angels 1, Atlanta 4, Cincy 1, Detroit 4, Kansas City 3, Atlanta 4, Cincinnati 1, Seattle 2, Oakland 1, Texas 7, New York Mets 3, the Dodgers over the Padres 7-2, and Colorado over Arizona 11-7. That's it for MLB. WNBA lone game was Chicago Sky over the Phoenix Mercury by a score of 91-75. That's it for WNBA. Let's talk about the John Deere Classic. Let me tell y'all something, right? Just really quickly. I used to sleep so much on golf, until I grew up and had an opportunity to play a couple times. Off and on, I had opportunities, and as a young adult, kind of like a time when Tiger Woods crashed a whip, and posthumously was divorced, and then kind of ducked out of the public eye for a little bit, made noteworthy returns to the sport between off the course issues and injuries. Scattered storm of injuries, actually. Anyways, the final round of the JDC. The John Deere Classic tips off, I believe. It's tomorrow, something like that. 11:40 a.m. JT Poston is in first place with a 3-stroke lead. So he's pretty much won this tournament. I know I commented earlier that he officially won it. But anyway, that is it for golf. Now we're on to the NFLs. Y'all still need that? We're doing the AFC style this time. And we're going to get through this rather quickly. The Baltimore Ravens have a problem at wideout, and my solution for them is to sign Julio Jones. Baltimore took care of most of the questions and needs in free agency and the draft. also. But in 2021, you were hard-pressed to find consistency, and there was a lack of production from the receiving corps. 2021 first-rounder Rashad Bateman will eventually ascend to the number one wide receiver spot after the Ravens traded their other highly talented wide receiver to the Cardinals, kind of like copy what the Eagles did. And even with incumbent star tight end Mark Andrews in the mix, he's a great vertical threat who's going to see his catches regardless. But there will be plenty to go around him this fall. There will plenty to go around this fall. As most of us will be getting our first looks at Rashad Bateman and seeing what he can do on the field. As you know, he was hurt last year and missed a great deal of his rookie season. Anyway, Buffalo Bills. Safety depth here. It's not really a problem because there are not too many holes on this roster. They should trade for the Raiders' Jonathan Abrams, so get him into a winning locker room. Anyway, Bills have, in my opinion, the most complete roster in the NFL. Not any real apparent needs. The best safety in the NFL. I think they have the best safety duo, in the NFL with former Green Bay Packer free safety Micah Hyde and the hard-hitting Jordan Poyer at strong safety. But they could use more depth behind those guys as well. Currently, their FSSS backups are DeMar Hamlin and Jaquan Johnson, and neither has seen much playing time in their career because the dudes ahead of them are really fucking healthy. Add Abrams by sending that late round pick. I think they have 2 6s and 3 7s. I'm not exactly sure. Send those late picks to the Raiders because if we were being honest here, old boy hasn't been good since his rookie year. And putting Jonathan Abrams in with this defense is something that is, I think, will reignite his passion, the fire, get those numbers up, and maybe bring Buffalo to the Super Bowl. Who knows? Cincinnati Bengals, their problem is edge rusher depth, and my solution is for them to sign former Patriot, who still's got a lot in the tank, Trey Flowers. So let's go with this. I said, after cleaning up the offensive line in free agency and adding and refurbishing the defense in the draft, the area of concern for me here is at edge rusher. Ideally, they need a third one behind Trey Hendrickson. He comes down on situational passing downs usually. And as of now, 2021 third rounder Joseph Asai is penciled in for that role, but alas, because of injuries, he has no NFL experience. He tore his meniscus. That's in the preseason. Ooh, that hurt. Out for the whole year. Signing Trey Flowers addresses not only the need, but the one they have at defensive tackle. Resigning B.J. Hill was a smart move, let's be honest. But it was at a high cost because Larry Ogunjobi wasn't re-signed. He took off in free agency. Trey would likely spend most of his snaps as the edge rotational defender, and I would assume, because they know that they're going to have this hole and there might be inexperience there, that they will plug they will plug Trey Hendrickson in a little bit more than we saw him last year. He will slide in on certain rundowns, certain passing downs. Like I said, situational again. Former Washington Redskin Ryan Kerrigan is also an available option. That's if somebody else grabs Trey Flowers before I think Cincinnati would. Moving on. Cleveland Browns, problems at wideout. They should sign Will Fuller in an offseason where wide receiver prices skyrocketed. The Browns wisely acquired Amari Cooper from the Dallas Cowboys, which was at a discount because soon after the market went fucking bananas. They also added Purdue's wideout David Bell, who is pretty damn good and is one day going to be a great pro in this league. Mark my words. Also, it should be noted that he's going to be in the slot a whole bunch, and there is no doubt in my mind where we will see him on the season opener. So if you wanna bet on that, I'm all ears. All of that doesn't negate the time and effort that is needed to put in and the work that is needed to put in at this level. Something that David Bell is very used to. I think the one thing is the learning curve that the average NFL wide receiver experiences. So in order to kind of like negate this, you fill out the roster. It's kind of imperative you add like a veteran presence if you could, if he's not too old. And here we have Will Fuller at 28 years old. He still has a lot left in the tank. His relationship with quarterback Deshaun Watson is very tight. As you know, they were both on Houston together as rookies. Deshaun Watson is looking like he's not going to play this year, so I don't think that really is going to play into that acquisition much if it were to happen. But I feel like it's the best fit for this team. Denver Broncos, right outside linebacker. Yeah, they haven't solved the Von Miller problem yet. They should re-sign Jason Alexander, however. And I feel like that because here's a guy who I thought was able to come in and replace Von Miller as best as one could do that. And last season he showed us what he could do. Generally speaking, the Broncos need lots of help on both sides, at any position, wherever. I think they are noticeably better on defense, and General Manager George Patton brought back Josie Jewell, as well as signing Alex Singleton. But Alexander brings a physical element to the position group that would otherwise be a liability without him, especially in pass coverage. Josie is admittedly better in coverage, so he'd be the number one linebacker in sub packages, but Alexander has good speed and has displayed the ability to make plays, and he shouldn't be overlooked as a run defender either. I assume he will be back as he generated little to no interest in free agency, so far anyway. Houston Texans, tight end depth. Their solution, they should sign the skilled journeyman Jared Cook. Another team who has a Swiss cheese-like roster could conceivably use reinforcements anywhere. We'll focus on quarterback Davis Mills getting some help. Tight end. 2021 5th round choice, Brevin Jordan is expected to be the number one guy here. And with this team having a non-competitive focus in hopes of rebuilding, they still aren't afraid to sign vets, which is kind of interesting. In free agency, they added A.J. Cann and Jerry Hughes, a former Bills standout, and do-it-all defensive lineman Mario Addison, of all whom are at least 30 years old. At 34 years old, Cook was still able to put up 564 yards and 4 touchdowns in the Chargers offense last year. So you figure he's got like another year left in him. I would assume anyway. Indianapolis Colts, offensive line depth. They should sign former Texan Dwayne Brown. Quietly, probably maybe like a top 75 player, I would say. Colts haven't successfully tried to paper over their left tackle situation for quite some time with guys like Dennis Kelly, Matt Pryor, but they got a good one here in Central Michigan's Bernard Raymond. With this group, they might actually get by for a little bit because of the talent of the entire entire line. But still, why not go after one of the best free agents that's still on the market? He'll be 37 at the start of the season, but there is no question that he's still top 50. That's the top 75. We'll bring it down, top 50. If his 2021 play was any indication of that, then he is nowhere near falling off the cliff, like some people have said. Jacksonville Jaguars defensive line issues, yes, even after they had the number one pick. Brandon Williams, he's a defensive tackle that plays end situationally. He's mostly a guy that's inside. After the team spent $80 million more than any NFL team this year in free agency, there's not much space to add a semi-expensive veteran. Sure, they could always use like another offensive lineman, and safety help is good. But what really makes sense is defensive tackle, where Williams can support for Folorunsu Fatuzkazi, sorry if I fucked up your name, Devon Hamilton, and Ray Robertson Harris. Williams, though, is now 33, so Jacksonville's really going to have to convince him to sign. I mean, it's not like he's going to sign anywhere else. Really quickly, let's go through the rest of the FC. Kansas City Chiefs, they need help at defensive tackle. The Las Vegas Raiders, offensive line depth. They had a great draft and picked up wide receiver Devontae Adams in free agency, which is cool. Yeah. LA Chargers right tackle. They really haven't recovered since losing DJ Fluker, and then they had a couple nice pieces on that offensive line. I believe Corey Linsley's still there as well. Miami Dolphins linebacker depth, safety depth as well, but I'll be satisfied with either or. New England Patriots need a corner. I thought they were going to take Florida's Kaiir Elam this year in the first round of the NFL draft. I was wrong. Need a decent one, though, because the Jets and Miami's offensives have gotten noticeably better this offseason, and you got to kind of filter in the new. You can't always be an old coach who only sees it one way. New York Jets linebacker, and that's outside or Mike. Pittsburgh offensive tackle. At times it looks like this group played ever so nervously, like a deer in headlights. And then finally, Tennessee wide receiver depth drafted Treylon Burks from Arkansas after trading their old number one wideout to Philly, who kind of had the same skill set, which is a questionable move. But Treylon Burks is going to be great in this league. And that does it for episode 383. I love you all. Wishing nothing but health, wealth, and success. And we'll see you Monday.